Hi everyone. In the last video we have seen what is the conditional statements in Python. We have seen if statement, elif statement, else statement, nested if statements, ladder if elif statement. Now in this video we are going to cover loops and loop control statements. So without doing further delay, let's get into this. So guys, before moving ahead to for loops, while loop, nested loops, let's understand what is actually loop is and where should we use a loop in Python. So let's move to PyCharm. So guys, here I have already created my file l6.py. Now let's write here lecture 6 and comment this one. Now guys, first of all, let's understand what actually loop is. So loop, basically loops is when you write some line of codes in your program and you want to execute that code again and again. Let's say I give you tasks, I say that print your name 10 times. What you will do, you will write here print name, whatever your name here is, and you will do copy and you will do paste 10 times. So basically here what you are doing, you are just writing same line which is you have written at the above, and you are going to write this line 10 times, which is making your code unreadable and it is actually time taking also. But what if I can write this line, this same code with a two line of code? Definitely if you're going to run this program, you will say, yeah, I got output name, but the same output I can also get with a two line of code using a loop. But main purpose is that whenever you want that some particular statement should be repeatedly executed, then you can use a loop there. So this is the basic general definition. Now we are going to discuss what are the types of loop. The first is for loop, and the second is while loop, and the last third is nested loop. So we will going to see everything, but before to seeing any of the loops, we have to learn a function. That name of function is range. You must have a knowledge of this function before moving ahead for loop. So let me tell you what is the range function. Range is take actually three parameter. The first is start, and second is end, or we can say stop, and the third is step size. So guys, let's understand what is three parameter. Start is basically from where you want to start your range. So it will take that parameter, and is till where you want to get your range, and the step size is basically to skip the value. So let's see with an example. Let's say I write a range 2 to 7. So guys, before doing that, let me tell you this start is an optional and step size is also an optional. If you don't write a step size, by default it take 1, and start by default it take 0. So let's say first of all I am going to write it 2 7. So what it basically do, it take a 2 as a start, so it will start from 2 and it will keep going 3 4 5 6, it will keep going till 7. Now it find that next outcome is my 7, so it will not write end or stop number, it will skip that one, it will go till end minus 1. It will say that 2 3 4 5 6. Great. If this much clear to you, that is great. Nothing much hard left for this. Now let's take another example. I am going to write only 10. So now I have told you that if start is not there, that means it's going to take 0 by default. If step size is also not there, it's going to take 1 by default. So what it will do, it will start from 0 and it will keep going until it found 10. Here it come to know that yeah, next value is 10, it will not going to write that. Now that's all. The last parameter is step size. So let's say if I write here 1 2 5 6 and step size is 2. So now basically what is the meaning of step size here? It have to take that much step. See here by default the step size was 1. So here what it did, 2, it take one step. It move ahead only one step and one step. But here I give a 2 step size, so it will take 1. It will not going to write here 2 because that means you have taken us 1 step, but you have to take 2 step. So it will go 3. It took 2 step now. Again it will take 2 step, so it will not going to take a 4. It will going to take 5. So then 7, which is out of 1, we have to go till 6. So yeah, this one is going to print 1, 3, 5. So this is the basic function of range. I hope you got. Now if you got that, let's use a for loop. The syntax of for loop is for, you have to write first keyword for, then iterator variable, and after that in here you have to write some sequence, put a colon, and you have to write a print anything, print something, means basically your statement. Here you have to write your code, which will definitely going to repeat n number of times where you have written this sequence. Now guys, let's see with an example. Let's comment this one, and yeah, I'm going to write your name 10 times. Here what I did, here I write manually, where I wrote 10 times your name. Now I am going to write your name with the 2 line of codes. So I will say that for, I take a variable name I, in here I am going to use that function range. Here I have to give such parameter which could create a number. So I will say start from 0 and go till 10. So what it will do, it will going to take a number 0 to 9. It will give us a range 0 to 9. Let me copy this one and let me write here. Let me put a column first here, which is because it is a syntax. So now I am writing this statement. So now guys, you got it that how did this number come from this range. Now you have to write your code. So basically what I am saying here, I have to write my name, right? So whatever your name you can write it there. So what I am saying that this for loop will gonna check. This for loop will gonna iterate this whole list. First of all, your I would be at 0 and it will gonna to print this one. Then your I would be at 1 and this will gonna to print this one. Then your I will be 3, then this will print this. Again at last, so keep going, when your I will be at 9, then this will print this one, and after that it will see that nothing element present, so it will exit from this loop. Basically your I variable is traversing this list. Let me make it its list because we know that range function return a list, and what is a list we are going to cover in our upcoming lecture, so don't worry about that. So but for now keep in mind that your variable will iterate this whole list. Now let me run this code. You can see that I could same code here with 2 line of code instead of writing 10 line of codes. So now guys, let me make you more clear about for loops. Let me print you number 1 to 10. Same, let me copy same. I'm going to copy same line of codes and I'm going to just change this last print statement. Inside of print, I'm going to give a value of I to make you clear that what actually I is doing. And let me comment this 2 line. And guys, here you can see that if I run this code, I will get number from 0 to 9. You can see that. How does it happen? Our I value initially was 0, so it printed a 0 value. We are printing basically value of I. So I value was 0, it print 0, and then it moved to 1, it print 1, it moved to 2, it print 2. So keep going, this printed till 9. So that's how for loop work. Now guys, you can also print an even number, odd number by using a conditional statement, which I have taught you in my last video, that if I mod 2 is equal to 0, means when we divide a number with the 2 and if we get a remainder 0, that means this is an even number. So print an I. Let's comment this one. It will going to print us all the even number between 0 to 9. Let's see. You can see that 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I hope now you understood that what is a for loops and where we can use these for loops in our code. So let's comment this one and move to the second loop, which is while loop. So guys, while loop basically it work on a condition. Let me tell you first syntax. while, here you have to write expression, then put colon, and here you have to write your code. This is basically syntax of while loop, nothing else. At last you have to update the condition also. So let's see how we can use in actual code. The same thing I'm going to print. First of all, I will print number 0 to 9 with the while loop as well. So let's see. I'm going to say that a is a variable which is storing the value 0, because we want to number from 0 to 9, not 1 to 10 this time. Okay, so let's say I use a while keyword, and after that I have to give an expression, means condition. So my condition would be while a is less than 10, means you have to print a number 0 to 9, so you don't need to include 10 also. So I give a condition while my a value is less than 10, we have to print a value, right? So now what it will do, it will going to print 0. Great. What, because 0 is less than 10. Now what if it is going to again move back to this condition to check whether my value is again satisfy giving me true value. Yes, 0 is less than 10. Again it will going to print. It will keep going, it will not have any end. So what we have to do, we have to make an update our condition. So we have to tell them a value should be incremented by 1. So what it doing, whatever the value a is having, so what is happening here, see now, focus here, we are first of all saying that C condition. So initially we decided a is having a 0 value, fine. Now we are saying that see, this is the main execution of while loop. So focus over here, a is 0, is 0 less than 10, yes, true, it is going to print this 0 value, fine, it will print as a 0. Now we are incrementing value of a, so what it will happen, it will, a value will become 1 here. Now once all the line has been executed, now it will move back to this condition. It will see is a is less than 10. Now we are having a is 1, so it will say that yeah, 1 is less than 10. So now it will going to print a 1. Okay, now it printed, now it will say that increment 1 into a, so now a will become 2. Now a is 2, now it will again check 2 is less than 10, yes, less than. Now it will print as a 2 value because it is 2. So now if it is printed 2, now it will again increment, now it will become 3, a is 3. So now guys, keep going this, whenever you will have value 9, so a 9 is less than 10, it will print 9 also, and after that it will increment, so increment by 1, so it will value become 10. And now if you go again to conditions, you will say that 10 is not less than 10, so it will give us a false and it will exit from the loop. That's how this while function works. Let's execute this code and see. Let me comment this one first, and now let's run this code. You can see that we got the same value was 0 to 9 by using a while loop as well as we have done in a for loop. Fine. So now guys, I hope now you understood how does while loop work. And there's one more thing, it works as a conditional statement. You can also use else statement here, like whenever your condition will false, that some line of code should execute. Like here I can say that your condition is false, is get false. So let's execute this code. Now you can see that when my value a got 9, after that it become 10, but 10 is not less than 10, so it get false, and when it get false, my else block will execute and it printed your condition is get false. So this is how you can use else with a while block. Now I hope now you understood what is a while loop and where to use and how to use. Now let's move to the third type of loop, which is nested loop. Nested loop. So let's comment this one first. When you are using a loop inside a loop, that is called a nested loop. So you can say that loop, one loop is executing here, then you one loop again going to execute inside of this loop, and again loop is going to execute inside of this loop. So this is basically becoming a nested loop. So let's see with an example. Here I will make a pattern which will give you a clear idea how to use a nested loop. 1, 2, 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. So guys, this is a pattern, and I'm going to tell you how you can make this pattern. So guys, if you notice here, we are having a 4 rows, 1 2 3 4 rows. This means one loop is going to be executed 4 times. So let's make first that loop. And we know that when we have specific number of times, that means we know that we have to run a loop for a specific number of times. That time we can use a for loop. So I'm going to use a for loop for, I give a variable name I in range. Here I want to execute 4 times. So if I write a 0 to 4, it will work same. And we know that if I skip the first parameter, it will default take 0. So basically don't need to write 0, because we know that 0 is a default value. If we write or we don't write. So now we are having a 4 lines. So what we are doing now, in every row we are writing some values. Here you can see we write 1, here you can see we write 1 2, and here you can see we write 1 2 3. I just told you that if you want to write some line till a specific condition, you can see that here we have to write till 1, here we have to write till 2, here we have to write till 3. So if you know some condition that where to stop, then you have to use a while loop. So here let's use a while loop. While, before that while, let's make a variable. I define it a, and I will initially say the value of a should be 1, because we know that here we are starting from 1. In every row we are starting from 1. Okay, so now if while a is less than, now how would you come to know that we have to write till 2 here, till 4 here? If you just focus here, you can see that this is a first row, this is a first row, and we have write till 1. This is second row, we have to write till 2. This is third row, we have to write till 3. We can say that in whichever row we are, just print till there. So let's say we know, and who are telling us that we are in this row? Our I variable. If it is 0, that means we are in first row. If it is 1, that means we are in second row. If it is 3, that means we are in fourth row. So same is. So we are saying that while I is less than I plus 1, you have to print the value of a. And after printing the value of a, you have not to give us a new line. So for that we will say that and is equal to null, right? So this basically say that our new line will not be get printed, it will be merged with this whatever the string if we are going to present here. I haven't presented here, so let me present one space. So whenever we are going to execute new print statement, it will add that statement into this with this space. So great. So this much clear. So now let's execute this code. But before executing, you have to see whether you have updated your condition or not. So I haven't updated, so let me update. A will equal to a plus 1, or either you can do a plus equal to 1. If you have seen my operator videos where I've shown you that what are the assignment operator and how to use it, the basically meaning of this is same as this one. So let's run this code. Okay, I haven't commented this line, let me comment this line also. Now let's run this code. Now you guys can see that we got output, but it's not exact looking like this. For making this look, we have to write here print. Now here print, what it will do, it will say that once it printed one row, then you have to definitely give a new line. But whenever you are printing a number in rows, then you don't need to give new line, just print along with that. So let's run this now. Now you guys can see that we have got our output, but it printed till here. It didn't printed the last line, just because the range function written as a 0 1 2 3, and we are saying that we have to print from 1. What if we say 0 1 2 3 4 and it should start from 1? So let me write here 1 comma 5, which will give us this range, and this range will going to print this one. Let's write this and run this code. Now you can see that we got the same output as we want. Just to change that, now we started from 1, which means we have to print one value. Then we go till fourth row. if we start from 0, then definitely it's going to print 1 also, but it will give us space at the first place, because here the condition will become like a is 1 but a is not equal to 0 plus 1, so it will give us empty print statement at the first time when we will executing the code. But if we start from 1, then it will going to print 1 is less than 2, which means you have to print a first time. So that basically we did, we started from 1. I hope you understood how to use a nested loop and inside of for loops, how you can use while loop. Inside of while loop also you can use a for loops. According to the requirement, you can use any loop inside of any loop. So now let's move to the new topic, which is loop control statement. So right here, let's loop control statement and comment this one and put it in center. So now guys, loop control statement basically means we have to control on the loops. And how we can control the loops? We have 3 statements. First is break, second is continue, and third is pass. These 3 statements can be used to control the loops. And how we can use them? Let's see. First of all, we are going to see break, and let's comment this also. Now guys, break statement is basically used to break a loop, completely terminate the loop. So we have to use a keyword which is break. So now how to use that in loop? Let's see. I'm going to use that break statement in for loop to show you how we can do that. Let's say I want to again print the 10 number. So I will say for I in range 10, print me the I value, means 0 to 9. And let me comment these 2 line of codes and let's run this code. You can see that I got 0 to 9. But I want to print a number till 5, but I want to keep a range of 0 to 9. So what I'll do, I will say there if I value is equal to 5, then you have to break. Focus on here. I say break only when I value will 5, and you know that I is iterating over this range, and this range have a list of 0, 1, 2, so on up to 9. Right. So let's run this code, see what we got. And before executing the code, let me tell you, we have used this thing before print, so it will not gonna print 5 also. So let's run this code and check it. It will gonna print till 4, right? So what if we use print statement at above? It will gonna print us a 5 also, and then it will going to break. You can see that. Fine. So you come to know that where to use a break. Now let's see how to use a continue statement. So here I am going to write continue. The keyword basically is continue only. Just you have to write in this all the characters in lowercase. So let me comment first of all this for loop and this 2 line also. So guys, continue basically use when you want to say that in a particular iterations that skip this part. Let's say I'm going to use again for loop for I in range 10. What all I want to do here is I want to print the number from 0 to 9 which are odd. So there are 2 ways. So you can also say that if I more 2 means whenever we divide the value of I by 2, if we got remainder 1, that means the number is an odd. So print me that number. So now let's run this code first of all. You can see that we got all the odd number 0 to 9. But there's another way too. By using a continue statement, I'm going to say that print me the value of I every time. Alright. But you have to skip this iteration if the number is even. If I mod 2 is equal to 0, that means even, then you have to skip that. And for skip, we know that we have to use a continue. Here you can use a continue statement. It will, what it will do, it will move to again these functions and it will skip all the parts which are below to it in the loop. So let me do this, execute this one. You can see that I again got the odd number from 0 to 9. But basically I did once when it found that I is 4. Alright, 4 means it is an even. So it see that, yeah, 4 divided by 4 more 2 is 0. So it true. If it is true, then it moved to this block, and here we have written continue statements. So continue statement says that skip all the lines of this code and move to the next iteration. Now 4 will become 5, and it will see 5 is not even number, so it will not going to execute here. It will move ahead and it will see, yeah, we have print statement, so it printed 5 and it will go to next iteration. So that's how continue statement work. You can use this continue statement in while loop also. Let me show you that. While I will give a variable name a, which is 0, while a is less than 10, if a mod 2 is equal to 0, that means number is even, then you have to continue. But before continue, you have to increment the value 5, otherwise it will go to infinite loop. So I'm going to say that a plus equal to 1, you have to increment by 1. If it is not even, then you have to print the value of a. So let's comment this one and run this while loop. So here it's going to be infinite loop. What we have done, let's see. But first of all, let's cut this one. Here you can see that we have incremented the value of a here, but we haven't incremented the value after print statement. What if the number is not even? So it will going to print that number. So let's run now. You can see that now we got same output 13579. So I hope now you understood how to use continue statement in for as well as while loop. So now we are left with last statement, which is pass. So let me comment this one and move to a pass statement. So now pass basically have a keyword pass, and let me comment this one. So now guys, let's see when we should use a pass. So guys, we have seen the conditional statements in the last video. Let's say you have created a conditions. If 5 is less than 10, then you want to do something here, but you don't want to write here something now, but you have to write is, let's say you have to write here print something, but you don't know this time that what should I write, but you want to keep this condition. For that you can use a pass statement. Here if I use a pass, it will not going to give me an error, and it will be a valid conditional statements. Let me print ahead code wrapped, and before that let me print a hello, and let me comment this one also. So if I run this code, I will get my output hello code wrapped, and you can see that I got. But if I not use a pass, then this will consider as a blank statement and it will give an error. Let me run this code, and you can see that it give an error that continue your if statement. So this is the basically purpose of pass, to make a condition valid and whether it is of use or not use. So guys, now let's see how to use this pass in loops. So if you want to make a loop as a valid and you don't want to write anything into that, so let's say for I in range 10, I created a loop, but I want to keep it as a valid, so I can use a pass here, and if I run this code, you can see that I got same output. If I don't write a pass, then again it will consider as an invalid for loop and it will give an error. You can see that. So it's better to use, whenever you write a loop without statements or conditions, then you can use a pass keywords. It will make your loop or the conditions valid. So guys, I believe you understood it, how to use a pass in Python. That's all in this video. We have seen what is the loops, what are the types of loops, for loops, while loops. We have seen loop control statements, break, continue and pass. I believe you got all those things. If you didn't get, you can write in comment section. I will definitely reach to you. And guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up to this video and subscribe my channel. Meet you in next video. Thank you.